standing at the line. It's like 35 degrees out, and I am sweating. I look to the crowd. Everybody's going nuts. I look to my competitors, and they're hungry. I focus on myself, and I'm ready. I crouch down to the line, focused. I take off. 5 strides, 10 strides, 30 meters, 60 meters, 80 meters, 90 meters. I look left, I look right, I see no one. I lean at the line, and it's over. My name is Sam Effah, and that was my definition of success when I won my first Canadian championships here in Toronto in the 100 meters. My late father, he used to always have these wise words for me, advice. He's an African Canadian, specifically from Ghana, and he has this thick accent. He'd say to me, "Sammy, be very, very careful. If being successful was easy, everyone would do it." And a young Sam, look up. And then I get back to my PlayStation 2. Now, ever since losing him last year, all these little lessons, they came back to me. They came flooding in. And I keep them so incredibly close to my heart. I always wanted to be successful, and I always wanted to be an Olympian. There's something about having the Canadian flag on your chest. You have people, millions of people wanting to see you on the podium and wanting to see you win. And on top of that, you have an opportunity to inspire the next generation. To me, that's something I've always wanted to do. Today, I'm going to talk to you about a lot of different things. I always plan, and I always say you want to go from A to B. That's so key. But I've learned through my experiences that you need to be open to different challenges. But before we get there, I want to show you my little SAM framework that I use when I'm putting forward my Olympic goals and my Olympic dreams. So as you can see up there, number 1, specify. Ask yourselves, what do you want to do? I know for me, I want to be fast. Easy. The second question, how are you going to get there? For me, that looks like good nutrition, consistent training, good training partners, and a coach who believes in me. Simple. The next thing, action. It's okay to dream. There's nothing wrong with dream. There's nothing wrong with setting goals. But to get to that dream or that goal, you got to do that in-between work. It's a perfect example for you guys. For our iPhone and Android users, don't be that person that in the morning you set your alarm for 6 a.m. Then you got it again at 6:02, 6:06, 6:31, 7:20, and finally, 7:30, you're up. Don't be that person. Instead, be that person to get up at 5:30 a.m., and by the time it reaches 6 a.m., you're there to turn that alarm off. You don't even hear that jingle. And lastly, map it out. So incredibly key. To qualify for the Olympics, to qualify for World Championships, to qualify for the Commonwealth Games, you need to run at our Canadian National Championships. It's a stepping stone. So what I do in my training is I have that set as the goal, and I work back from there. Once I pass that, then of course I look at the Olympics, but you got to get through step 1. So these Canadian National Championships, these are in July. I'll look back to April. Am I in the shape that I need to be in April? All the way back to January. Is my nutrition on point? Is my body composition the way it needs to be? Am I too big? And then I'll go all the way back to a day like today in November. And I'll look at my day to day, my incremental changes. Because those small incremental changes, those grow into big victories. So I look at that, I focus on that, and I make sure every day I'm more and more efficient. 1/100th of a second is the difference between first and last at sometimes. Now, talked a lot about planning, but I gotta say, there's so many unexpected things that can happen. I competed at the Commonwealth Games. This was in Delhi, India. Amazing place. It was hot. People spoke a different language. It smelled different. I remember there was animals. There was monkeys roaming the street randomly. I was like, cool. All right. But let me take you there. The 100-meter final. I had qualified. Specifically, I knew exactly what I wanted to do, and that was to be at that final so I can get a medal. Action-oriented. What did I do? I did everything I needed to do. I did push-ups that morning. I was ready. I had my pump on. And lastly, I mapped it out. This was in October. I had mapped out from October all the way back until my very first training session. And I was hungry. So here I am, walking through the stadium. It's like 40 to 60,000 people. You know, I'm giving high fives as I walk in there. I'm excited. One lady kind of like, she brought her baby in my face. I was trying to focus. I said, no, move that baby. I'm not ready. I don't mean to be mean. So move that baby. So I got to the start line, and I'm focused. They go across the line. It's like lane 2. Some guy from like Trinidad and Tobago, cool. Lane 3, I think it was a Jamaican guy. It wasn't Bolt, but he was doing his thing. Lane 4, Nigerian guy. And of course, I'm not focused on him. But the second the camera came on me, I was ready. I had my Sam shuffle. Didn't look that great. But I was ready. I'm gonna set the stage for you. I remember this like it was yesterday. So the starter, he has like a starter's pistol in his hand, and he has a British accent. So he's like, runners, on your mark. And I gotta tell you, as soon as he said this, everybody in the stadium completely quiet. So eerie, 40 to 60,000 people. Whew. And they're all staring at like the line. So we're all there, getting limber, getting ready. The next command you hear, set. Kind of raise your butt up. I gotta tell you, had the gun gone, I remember thinking to myself, any noise, I was gone. Somebody burped, farted, sneezed. I was like, this is my race. I've set it, and it's happening. I don't care. Luckily, nobody had a cold that day. They had their Buckleys. It tastes nasty. I know. So back to the race. Runners on your mark. Set. Boom, the gun goes, and I had the start of my life. For the people who know track and field, something went really wrong, though. So you have these starting blocks. They're supposed to stay in the ground. Mine, for whatever reason, didn't have pins. Flew back, disadvantage. Everybody's 2 steps ahead of me. But I said to myself, focus. 5 strides, 10 strides, 20 strides, 80 strides, 40 meters, 60 meters, 80 meters, 90 meters. I look left, I look right, I see no one. I lean at the line, and immediately I walk up to the screen. It's a big screen, and it shows the results. I'm like, I better be gold. Gold. Jamaica. Kind of like, pfft. Silver. Great Britain. At this point, I'm like, okay, I wanted to win. I didn't win. Let me get a medal. I look up. I see bronze. Honestly, I don't even remember the name. It wasn't mine. This one, I'm like, man, this sucks. Not only, that's the face I made. Not only was I, mentally frustrated because I specifically knew what I wanted to achieve. I did the actions and I did everything I needed to do it. And I mapped it out. But even emotionally, I had my mom watching, my dad watching, cousins, my kindergarten class, everybody was watching and they saw me fail. And lastly, I had always had issues with my hips, like injury after injury after injury, because those blocks had slipped. It was an awkward position, and my hips were in insanely pain. Like I was in some serious pain. And that turned out to be the biggest of my problems. But it took years, I tell you, years after this meet. I had surgery. I felt like the oldest man alive. I had a hip surgery, broken hips, labral tear is what they call it. It took years before I really got back on track. And what it really took is me connecting with this new coach that I had here in Toronto. His name is Desi Williams. It's him right up there. That's my coach right now. And he gave me a new framework. So as you can see, first thing he told me, first day of training, Sam, work hard, no excuses. I was the type of person, after I got injured and continued to get injured, I had so many excuses. But I took that, put it in my running. Days I was happy, cool, put it in my running. Any excess energy that I had, I put it into my running. The second thing he taught me was be ready to deviate from your path. And again, this is so incredibly key for me because I was so focused on A to B. Now I needed to learn how to be flexible. And lastly, he told me to do more than just sprint. And what this meant was he said, Sam, you have the opportunity, you have the ability to inspire the next generation. And he said this, over 6 or 7 times over the course of like a month or so. And what this took the form of was speaking at schools first. And I loved it. But the one thing I didn't like is I would speak and I would literally disappear. Like I wouldn't connect with those schools again. So I would speak one day and then there was no continuity. But luckily for me, an organization came to me. It's a guy, his name is Steve Messler. He has this organization, it's called Classroom Champions. Amazing. What they do is they get Olympians, Paralympians, Olympic hopefuls, and they put them in the classrooms of kids across Canada. And they teach virtual lessons. So I'm teaching lessons on YouTube, on Skype. I can be in Europe, and they're seeing my lessons. And it's awesome. So to be able to have that opportunity to do that and have that continuity 10 months of the year was awesome. I taught lessons on steps to success, goal setting, perseverance, teamwork, friendship, and the list goes on. But where this gets interesting and where I truly found my passion is one day I decided I wanted to go and surprise one of my classrooms. Because I have a classroom here in Toronto, I have one in Weyburn, Saskatchewan, I have one in Calgary, Alberta, one in Welland, Ontario, if you know where that is. And I went into this classroom. These kids came and they all hugged me. There was this one kid in particular. His name was Collins, and I'll never forget this moment. Little black kid, he reminded me of me, from Kenya. He hugged me and looked up to me and said, Sam, because of you, I believe I can be an athlete. I kind of had that, aww, like kind of hug him back more. My favorite kid. After that, he said to me, Sam, because of you, I believe I can go to university. And I was like, okay, it's getting deep. He hugged me a little tighter. And then he just looked right up in my eyes and he said, Sam, because you look like me and you talk like me, I believe I can be successful. and I'm not an emotional guy, but at that point, I was like, this is what it's all about. I want to be able to inspire the next generation. And funny enough, they got that picture right on cue. I don't smile like that every day, trust me. But Collins is that one right up next to me with his head on my chest. And I realized that's why I do what I do. Being an international athlete has made me develop this 360-degree vision of what success really is. Now I'm healthy, I'm strong, I'm fast again. But this time on my journey to 2020, I can't wait to bring my classrooms, all you youth, and anybody who I come in contact with, because I believe that is my true calling. And I have a new definition for success. My definition for success is this. Success is bigger than just A to B and reaching that goal. You guys can jot this down. It's bigger than that. Success is being able to take situations that may be unfavorable, take things that are going against you, and making them positive, and maybe even being like me and developing these things into your passion. That, to me, is what success is. With that being said, not only am I proud to be a community ambassador, I'm proud to be a volunteer, I'm proud to be a TEDxYouth speaker, and I am proud to be a classroom champions mentor. Thank you.